Welcome back. Picking it up right where we left off in part 6. This is part 7. I have run out of canvas material. It's in the mail right now, so I'm kind of at a standstill for that. In the last video, I talked to you about how I was procrastinating with the diesel heater and intake and exhaust fan pass through. So I think I'm going to tackle it today. I'm really not looking forward to it. Let me show you my game plan. Here's the bracing I have so far. My thought is to run screws through here to a shelf that will stick out here. I can then set the diesel heater and fan. I'm just gonna call it the diesel heater, but it's a diesel heater and fan combo. I'll show you that in a minute. I want the shelf to sit here. I was gonna have some shelf brackets here, and then the diesel heater will sit around this area on the outside. I'm then gonna have a pass-through vent coming up here, running along here, and ending here at the beginning of the bed. Because what we found when we were camping in it on the 4th of July during our test run is that with these 3 windows open, we get plenty of airflow through here, but it's very stagnant and hot up here. So I want this intake and exhaust to be able to either suck the hot air out, blow the cool air in, or obviously in winter, blow heat right on us from the diesel heater. I know heat rises and you'd want to put that vent lower, but I'm at limited options the way I built this. All right, I'll go show you my diesel heater. Mind the mess, I got a lot going on. Here's my creation. This is a diesel heater I picked up off of Amazon. I redid all the fuel lines and added an inline fuel filter because that's what people say to do first after you get these. They use super cheap fuel line and all that. So all the upgrades have been done to this already. I then got this 3-inch C-Flow boat. This is meant for like a boat engine room. And it's like an air bilge, so it sucks any engine fumes out. And I liked it because they're both 3-inch, or so I thought. I had to put an adapter on here to get it to fit the hose. For a filter, I just doubled up some screens, actual like screen material for windows. And it's not so much to filter the air, but to keep critters out. I don't want them crawling through here, having a nice 3-inch pass through to go make nests in my camper. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm doing this instead of just putting a roof vent in, obviously a roof vent is like the universal go-to. I don't want water leaks on this camper. So I wanted the least amount of holes in my roof as possible. So right now there's technically 5 holes. There's 4 for the mounting bolts of the solar panel and then 1 for the wire pass through. So I would like to keep it that way. So I figure, I know heat rises, but if I can get this to suck and blow enough air out, then I won't have to have a hole in the roof. It'll just be a hole in the side where it'll be susceptible to less water intrusion. With that said, let's go drill some holes in the camper. We now have 7 screws. These are 3 1/4, these are 2 3/4, I believe. So we got nice long ones going all the way through to our table here. I Durbacked this and I dropped it while it was still wet. So it's all crummy under there, but there's gonna be a diesel heater sitting over here anyways. But hopefully this will be nice and strong. So here I've got most of the box constructed. What I'm doing now is the clasp piece for when it goes onto the camper. So this is at a 15-degree decline. I want the clasp piece, I don't know what else you call it, the piece that slots into the top, I'll show you later, to be on a 45. So I had to cut a 15 here, and then I got to do a 45 here. And here we have it. So we have our flat piece that'll go up against the camper, the 15-degree piece angling down on the top, and the 45-degree piece that'll be facing inwards, so it will slide itself onto the camper. So we have our shelf here. I then marked out where our upper support is going to go for the cover. And now I'm adding this piece of bracing so it has something to bite into on the other side of the plywood. I went ahead and marked its location already, so now all I have to do is glue it and screw it. More of the same. Got the nice action there. Got the rain cap mounted. I still have to caulk it. Moving right along, I have some flange pieces I found. It's a drier wall flange, but it's a small diameter, 3-inch instead of a 4-inch or 6-inch. I was glad I found that because I was just gonna run this tube through the hole and caulk around it, but now I have more of a solid, more weatherproof solution. As you can see, this tube runs up into the intake and exhaust fan for now, but then in the winter season, I can just unplug it from here, move it down to here, and plug it into my diesel heater for winter. I also have the latch pieces for the cover. But before I show you that, I'll take you inside and just show you this. Here's the tube, just temporarily set up. I was testing it out, and I have the same flange on the other side, also siliconed. This will be the controller for the diesel heater. So it has a controller that was mounted to the front, and it had a real short wire on it with a quick disconnect. So I cut the quick disconnect off the short end, mounted it on the end of this wire going through, so if I ever have to remove the diesel heater from the unit, I can just unplug the wires and it'll come right off. It's not like hardwired to the camper. And then this, I can decide wherever I want it once I get the insulation finished on this wall. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna want it here, on the ceiling, but there's enough cord there I could put it anywhere. I could even run it all the way over to the control box or up top there, but I doubt I'll do that. All right, I'm gonna set this cover up for you so you guys can see it. And here's the cover installed. I have the same rain drip guard that I have over the door, so it gets it over this and then runs down here, so hopefully it'll stay out of this gap. Just in case it does get wicked up there, I do have a seal running along, and then I just have some little latches, and that holds it. The issue that I did find is when I was testing it, is this is now too airtight, and the air coming out of that is restricted. So I think I'm going to cut a hole down here and use some screen or some kind of mesh to filter it. Not for particles, but just to keep bugs out of there. I've got this side of the wall insulated. I have the HVAC hose clamped behind the insulation, and I have our diesel heater control module mounted. I don't have it wired up yet because I do want to put a switch in there because I don't want it turning on while I'm going down the road or anything weird like that. But I got the cords wired back here. There's a nice little cavity as well. Well, you can't really see back there, but back here where they go through and then they pass through about here. I can actually feel the spot where it's at. Yeah, she's looking good. So as I explained in part 6, I said this was taking a lot longer than I wanted it to. And the reason is I've kind of been paying attention, and for me to measure, cut the fabric and glue it on, it takes about a half hour per panel. And there's like 40 something panels in here. And my summer has gotten a little bit busy, so I'm not out here making them every day. So it's taken longer than I wanted, but it's slow, steady progress. I have about 10 more panels on the walls, and then the walls are done, and then I just need to worry about the angle pieces and the very front. So it's getting close, but I don't know if it's gonna be done before winter, honestly. The issue is I was going so fast and hard to get the exterior done that when I finally got it done and was able to pull it outside, I kind of like brushed it off just because I kind of burnt myself out with doing it so much. And honestly, at this point, it is campable and everything I'm doing is just cosmetic. All the essential stuff is there. The only thing that isn't cosmetic is this piece that has to get mounted up to the ceiling, and then the cabinets, like the upper cabinets, which I don't know how I'm gonna do those yet. So I'm having a hard time getting myself motivated to come out here and do it when I'm at this stage. I'm almost done with the interior padding. I have 3 pieces left, those 2 corner pieces and then this one big piece. I have run out of fabric to do it, so it's in the mail. It should be here in a couple of days. So in the meantime, I've decided I'm going to build a shelf out here. Not a shelf, but just a little cubby. And so I'm just looking at how I want to do that. I have this 1/2-inch plywood, so I think I'm going to use this slot here to slot it up in there where I want it, and then run screws or staples there. Something like that to start out with. Here I've got my shelf made. I used 1/2-inch plywood on the sides, 1/4 on the bottom, and then cedar trim around it. And to grab the lower plate, here, I guess this would be an easier way to show you. I cut notches out of the cedar like this so that it's gripping the bottom, so hopefully it doesn't fall out. I used that butcher block stain on the sides, and then I left these bare for now. I have the clear coat that I used on all this other stuff. I was trying to get a little bit of a contrasting look, but the cedar's pretty red, these pieces, I don't know. It might not show up with the yellow light, but I guess on camera they don't look bad. Either way, let's get it mounted. Oh, while I got you here, I'm going to do 2 screws here, 2 screws there, and I'm not going to glue in the joint, just because if I ever have to take these strips down to get to the lights or any of the wiring, I need to take this shelf out, so I don't want to permanently glue it. There we have it, 1 shelf. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to throw some insulation and fabric in that hole. It's wide open. And then I just need to make a trim piece up top here. The heater is mounted. I got it screwed down to the base here, and I made a nice little exhaust pass-through plate. So I did a hole saw, a piece of exhaust tubing, and then welded it to a plate. And then the exhaust, which I have here, can just shove right up through this hole. Obviously I'll have to have the cover off when I'm parked, but that steel shield should dissipate enough heat to where it doesn't catch my wood on fire while it's running. I moved the cooler in here to kind of size things up. It fits nicely. I don't know what I was measuring. I think I was measuring the widest point, but I thought this base was gonna be way too small for the cooler when I actually have, I got room on both sides actually. The cushion goes behind there and then it hangs over a bit. So that's good because I thought I was gonna have to buy a smaller cooler. It saves me money and it fits perfect. Future things that I don't know if they're gonna be in this video or not. Well, we'll just call it future things. I was looking at this. I was gonna put cubby storage all up along here, and I talked to the wife and we've since moved away from that. We don't think we're gonna need the space. What we might do is a nice 45-degree style thing right here. Obviously it would be high enough to skip the cooler, but then I would at least have some shelf space up here. Then I would have this run up, and then I think instead of having this flex tubing running all the way down, since it's gonna be exposed now, I might try and get some 3-inch pipe, but I'm having trouble finding 3-inch pipe that doesn't cost a fortune. So I gotta think about that, do some shopping. I've got the insulation behind the shelf there, fits in real nice. Still need this top piece done. And then I went ahead and did all of the trim along here, as well as filled in the staple holes and puttied some of the bigger cracks. The centerpiece I sanded down and wood puttied. My table mount, it's a Lagoon knockoff, should be here in a couple hours, and then I can get that mounted today. After a lot of thought and contemplation, I decided to move the table inside of here. I figured I had the 7 inches that I haven't really been able to use. I obviously was able to utilize some of the space for the electronics. Sitting around in here with the wife, we found we like to put our feet up on it, so we kind of have some use there. We can put stuff under it for storage, but besides that, it is kind of a waste of space. So after some hemming and hawing, I decided instead of mounting the table outside of this leg and taking up even more what would be foot space, I'd mount it inside. And it worked out pretty well. Also, it's a knockoff Lagoon, it's a cheap one, and this arm said it was 15 inches, but it's actually 17-ish center to center. So this this table bracket was actually about flush with where the counter sits. So I would have had to have the table coming inwards, and I didn't know if I wanted it sticking that far out. So I put it inside. I thought the hole, or the square, would look a lot sloppier than it is, but I think it looks pretty good. Also in the pictures with this, it said it would include a plate like this, but it didn't. So I got all flustered and started a return right away, and then I thought about it and figured this is probably a super chintzy piece of metal they ship with it, so I made my own. And I just have it clamped along there. And then there's, I can't see what you see. The handle's right back here, so if you want to adjust it, it slides up and down. And then if I want it completely out of my way for not using the table, pop the table off, shove it down, and that's all the space it takes up. About the only downside is I have this big metal plate sticking out in what is mostly a fiber and wood camper, so it doesn't really look its place, but maybe I can throw some stickers on it. I painted it black, and I really didn't like how my paint job turned out, so just being in a rush, I cleaned it off, and it's just bare metal for now. Can always fix it in the future, but I do like how this table turned out. Now I have to build the table. I got another 1-inch glued edge pine, just like I did for the countertop here. And right now I'm just calculating how big of a table I want, where it's not going to be completely in our way, where I can move it in and out but it's big enough so that we both can sit and eat from it at the same time. Woo! Look at that. I whipped this together last night, slapped it on there, and it was still wet because I'm super impatient. Just got her mounted. This is a terrible mount. I'm not even going to name the make. It's some off-brand one, but I already had to tighten a couple fittings. This bracket was extremely warped. The screws they supplied me with didn't fit. I had to drill it out, use some of theirs and some of my own. So maybe if you're doing this, go with the name brand one. And like I said earlier, the plate was missing. I know some of these people build them so they can turn them and twist them in different directions. This one I pretty much have set up one of two ways, just like this, where if we have me and her, we can eat here, and then I can't rotate it like this, but if I lift it out and flip it, I can have it as a nice tray for just me. There we go. So if I flip it 90 degrees, you have to pick it up, rotate it, and set it down. You can't rotate it because of the size it hits, but there's a nice little seating for one person over here or over here, and it opens up the rest a bit. Next, I'm working on a paper towel holder. I'm not building one. I ordered one. I figured out it fits right here just perfectly, almost like it was made for it. So I got one to hang here, and also hanger. If I'm winter camping, skiing or something, and I have wet clothes, I want somewhere where I can hang them out to dry. So I was thinking somewhere over here, but I don't know if I'm putting a cabinet here. If I put it here, it would kind of be in front of the window, which would suck. So then I was thinking about just hooks off the side where I could hang them this way, and I haven't really decided yet. So I'm just kind of pondering on that today. The other thing I'm working on is the tube. So I was looking at PVC last night, and it's really thick, really heavy for what it's used for. So I had the idea to check out 3-inch ducting, and sure enough, they make solid 3-inch ducting. It's going to be silver. I'm going to keep it silver instead of painting it because I don't want the paint flaking off. Maybe I'll just sticker bomb it in the future or leave it how it is, depending on how it looks, I guess. But here is the tube I'm using for my heat and air, and here are the brackets. Well, here's a template of what I think I'm going to do for the brackets. So we'll slide them in here, screw them in the side, just like we did for this cabinet here. I have 1, 2, 3, have it end there, and then have it pass through. What I'm thinking about now is just how I want to design it. Do I want to just keep it pretty close and squared, or do I want to try and do this nice rounded, like a rounded wood shape? The thing is, the tube is round, so it would fit that, but nothing in this camper is round. Everything's angular, so I don't know if I want to try some angles. I haven't really decided. I've got my ductwork pieces made. Also, I'm using my new table. Look it, it's holding its first item. It's a drill. It's doing real good at it. Woo, go table. So after a bunch of trial and error, I decided to just use the black flexible hose for now. Basically, I can do a 90 here, and that's fine, but I have to then do a 90 and a 90, or the piece has to be on a mad angle coming across here to just do 190. And doing the 290s here, it's too much. It comes out too far, and then when it goes up, it hits the tube. Sorry about that. So I'm just doing that for now. I can fix it in the future, but just so I have HVAC, or HV, no AC, I'm gonna leave it like that. The tube looks fine. I did, one of my supports cracked, but this weighs almost nothing. So it's just to keep it up there, basically going down the road and to hold its own weight. And then back here, it terminates into a nice vent and it blows nice. I haven't done the heat yet, but I did have the fan running yesterday. Then moving over here, I mounted a mirror and a paper towel holder. They fit in this nice little crevice in line with the sink perfectly. I'm really happy about that, and I figured I would save the mirror peel for you guys. Watch this whole mirror come flying off the wall. When I bought it, the mirror showed nice rounded edges, and then I get it and it's just a square. It was very cheap. It's an $8 mirror. Woo! Look at that. That's the cleanest it will ever be. It's probably gonna be dusty in a week. And then we're gonna clean it and it's gonna get all scratched because it's not glass, it's a polycarbonate or whatever. I didn't want it to fall off and shatter, so it's robust, it's lightweight, but it's probably gonna scratch in the future. That's all I got for now. Oh no, it's not! Last night, before it got dark, I carpeted. I took the bed mat from, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I started off with a fiberglass topper, and I built a frame and had a mattress, and then I put a bed rug in it. So this is actually plastic fiber that feels like carpet, and it's supposed to avoid absorbing anything. Obviously you can see wood and sawdust sticks just fine, but it shouldn't absorb any liquids. And then the wood under it I coated with a couple coats of that wood sealer, so it shouldn't absorb water either. And it turned out really nice. It still popped up in a couple of spots. It's got to settle in. But going around here, let me grab a light. I know it's dark. Going around this square, obviously I had to cut a strip so that I could go around it, but look at how clean that is. The wood is not sitting on top of that carpet. The carpet goes around the wood. And I think it turned out really good. Same thing over here. Obviously I had to go around these pieces of wood. It got a little janky in there, but man, this thing is really tied together. Excuse my mess, but I don't know how much further I can go before I call it done. I mean, obviously I'm gonna work on it and keep working on it in the future, but I have 1, 2, 3 more foam pieces to make that I'm waiting on fabric for still. That fourth one is there, that goes on the ceiling, the angled piece, but I'm waiting for the wall because that actually supports the bottom half of it. And after that, it's done and usable. Like I mentioned before, I might put some sort of cabinet over here, but I want to use it first to see how much space we really need and storage we really need, because it might be completely unnecessary. But man, I just want to get it done and go camping. Hey, welcome back. It's been a couple seconds for you, but 2 weeks for me. I was out in Japan. Just got back and checked out the camper, and a couple of these foam pieces had fallen off on the angled surfaces. The walls all held up great, so I went ahead and made some brackets, and I'm just going to staple them up instead of screwing them, mainly because in the center here is a gap from the sandwich style that I made it. Also, I got the canvas for that, but it's the wrong color, so I'm waiting for canvas still, even though it's been a couple weeks. Hello. Ooh. All right, and that's as far as I can go for now, because I need to get that front piece up first, and then the ducting is holding up the rest of the pad, so I'm not going to have any there. There's what we got. I know my screen is dusty and the lighting isn't that great in here, but some nice trim pieces going down. I made a bracket for the switch that doesn't take up too much room for the cabinet. Cleaned up all the wiring down there. I changed my mind again and went back to the metal ducting method. I manipulated it a bit and got it to work. I think it looks much better like that, just all the same material, even if it is a little bulkier. And the hanger situation. I redid my bathroom a couple years ago and had a spare towel bar, so I use that since it's free, and I can just hang my clothes from there. Most of the metal in the camper is black metal, and this is obviously silver, so it doesn't really match, but it's right next to the duct, so they're kind of the same color. So I think it'll do all right. The last update I have is I put a janky little diesel heater cutoff switch down there. And unfortunately, I'm still waiting on canvas for those last 3 pieces. I have to mail the old stuff back before they will mail me the correct stuff, so I know it's gonna be a while. So unfortunately, I'm going to call the video here. I really wanted to get it finished in this one, and we are so close, so I'm sorry for that. I think the next video is gonna just have it finished, and then I'll just do a full tour of it. I know most of you have been here since the beginning, but just in case there's any new viewers who just wanna see the camper all done and everything, it'll be that kind of video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.